What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to Freedom Friday, where I hold space and answer any questions you have about how to achieve more degrees of freedom in your life. What's going on? Brian, it's good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. What's going on, Anthony? Good to see you. Oh, folks is here. Good. So let me just share this on Facebook really quickly, and then we're going to get into it. Again, I'm here to answer any question you have about how to achieve more degrees of freedom in your life. And and this is every Friday at noon. We have two spaces that we hold every week, two shows essentially, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we actually create a vision and plan out our week together, right? Together, we do that. That's a powerful process as we are all en route to build $1 million business. And then we have this space on Friday where you can ask absolutely anything in terms of how to increase your degrees of freedom. So with that, let me just get this started over here. I know Instagram is getting the word out. Join for Freedom Friday. Where you can, Instagram, if you have any questions, let's get it in. Or you can, if those of you don't know, 40 Days of Freedom is underway. We are on day 5, and it's been powerful. And it's still available. It's absolutely free. You're going to have to do some catch up, but it is absolutely free. So go ahead and join us there. Go to 40daysoffreedom.com. You can ask anything about how to achieve 4 degrees of freedom. This space is all about you, so make sure that you ask questions. Obviously, you're here because you might not be free yet, and that's what I'm here to help you do, to change your thinking about how to get where you ultimately want to go. So, getfreenow.com. All right, cool. So, what's going on to everybody here on Zoom? Family, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. And give the Zoom shout out. What's going on here? Technology. What's going on? Hold on, Susie. Good to see you. GK, Alicia, Carolina, Jessica, Josh, Manya, Nancy, Nika, Tiana, Artina, Tony. What's good? How is 40 Days of Freedom going? How is 40 Days of Freedom going? Toadster says, I really appreciate the clear breakdowns. Good. Yes. So in the beginning of 40 Days of Freedom, what we focused on this week was really assessing. We're in the week of assessment. So we assessed our mental freedom, we assessed our time freedom, and we assessed our financial freedom. Now, what we're doing is we are listing, today, we are actually listing all of the programs that we have that have been limiting us, right? We're listing all the programs. See, we have, as we're growing up, we go through these 4 phases of programming, deprogramming, reprogramming, and then running the program. And what happens is the programs that get installed in our mind, which is our operating system, they no longer work in this new operating system called today, right? The programs that work for our parents, like what was that word processing? What was that old? Anybody know what that old word processing technology was? What was it called? Anybody remember what that old word process before? Lotus Notes? Was it Lotus Notes? I think it was Lotus Notes. That old word processing technology. That won't work on today's computers, right? That old technology won't work on today's computers. And so in the same way, we have thoughts and ideas and beliefs that were implanted into us that worked for our parents' generation, but aren't working for our generation in today's times. And so we have a new operating system, and therefore we have to deprogram and get these programs off of our hard drive. These programs have been hard coded into who we are, right? And we need to install new ones to replace them, and then we get the opportunity to run the program. What's going on, Sherry? Good to see you. Claudette, how you feeling? Good. Folks are out. It's good to see you all. All right. Let me see. Share. I know something's happening with Facebook. Something's always happening with Facebook, whether they stealing your data or whatever. Something's always happening with Facebook, right? But that's how I actually found some of you all, using Facebook advertising and things of that nature. So it's a gift and a curse at the same time, right? So let's talk. Okay. So what I was saying is that the first thing we go through is uh, focus. First thing we go through is a state of programming. And so that's usually the ages 0 to 18. Okay. That's usually 0 to 18. We go through this space of programming because at that young age, we don't have enough defenses to actually control and defend our mind, defend what's up here. And so we're just accepting and receiving at that moment in time. And then oftentimes when people go off to college, what tends to happen is when they go off to college, they end up starting to deprogram. They start to challenge some of the thoughts that were implanted into them by their parents, right? By parents, preachers, teachers, police officers, celebrities, society, TV shows, programs, right? Which they call programs. We start to reject some of those things or at least challenge them. And it's okay to challenge something and then come back and say, oh, I challenged it and I actually like what it was. So what you'll find is a lot of people get stuck in, a lot of people go through the deprogramming phase and they'll start to challenge some of the things like their religious beliefs, their beliefs about money, their beliefs about love, etc. They'll start to challenge those things. But then as they get into their 30s, what do they end up doing? They end up gravitating back and becoming more and more like their parents. They went through this little state of rebellion in the deprogramming phase. And this is why most social movements start in colleges, because now you're exposed to new thought, new ideas, and new people, right? You aren't just surrounded by these people who you grew up with from 0 to 18. And you're like, wow, that actually feels right to me. Or that's actually different than what I was taught growing up. And some people are in total defense of their way of growing up being the right way. And then some people are open. And I think we want to be more open than closed off. Yes, you do not want to compromise your values, right? But in that state, you want to be open. And being that you're moved away from home and you're surrounded by all these new forms of thought coming from professors, from friends, from books and things of that nature, we go through this phase of deprogramming. But again, a lot of people end up gravitating back to their original programs as they move into adulthood. Then you go through, then a few people make it out of that state and go into a state of reprogramming, where they are intentionally starting to choose their thoughts, right? Because the truth is that most adult people have never had an authentic thought. Every thought that they've had is a regurgitated thought. It's a thought that has come from other people. And the sad thing is they don't even recognize that most of their thoughts are actually coming from other people. They think that they're the ones thinking, but they aren't thinking. These are actually programs that are running, and they have never had an original thought. And so what we want to do is we want to go back to who we were at birth, right? That moment we were conceived, right? We want to go back to that first moment when you were just a pure mind, when you were a pure gold mind, before all these other ideas and ways of thinking and believing and seeing the world actually get cover up who you truly are, right? All of that can actually just be dogma. But the moment you were born, there was an original you, and that was pure mind. And we want to go back to who that is and start from what they call tabula rasa, from a blank slate, right? So sometimes you have to break things down in order to strengthen them. When you break a bone, it actually comes back together stronger, okay? And I think over the course of life, I think we're evolving faster than we've ever evolved before. And I think that you'll grow into over 7 different people over the course of your life if you go through this process. This process is a never-ending process. It's just similar to a butterfly going from a caterpillar, right? Or the way a snake sheds its skin over and over and over again. The core being and essence is still there, but there is this evolution. The sad thing is that I think while times are creating the ability for us to evolve faster than we've ever evolved, and technology as well, I think a lot of us get stuck in our ways. We want what's comfortable, right? As opposed to what is actually going to create the most growth. And then the final stage, once you've reprogrammed your mind around money, around love, around your career, around friendships, around food, or once you've reprogrammed all of that, then you can actually just run the program. And I think that it actually takes about 10 years to run a program for you to truly see the results. I'm not just talking about going and being vegetarian for a month and seeing how it is. Yes, you need to start there. You got to start somewhere. You got to start with one day. You got to start with one meal, right? But I think for you to truly see the difference of something, it takes about a decade for it to unfold. And so I usually challenge people, look, if you're not committed to this for a decade, like somebody wants to start a business or they want to do something, okay, are you committed to it for 10 years? And if you're not committed to it for 10 years from the get-go, then I usually encourage people not to go after it at all, right? I've been in this game for 10 years. January 9th, 2009 is when I quit my job and stepped into doing this work full time. And I knew I wasn't going back, right? Once you're free, it's just really hard to go back. There are some circumstances that cause some people to go back. And I want to avoid that. I want people to be living in their purpose every single day. And that's why my mission is to free 300 people, just like Harriet Tubman. I believe that I'll be able to free a lot more. But that is my target right now, is to fully free 300 people. I've transformed the lives of many people, and I've loosened the chains in different ways. But there have been 5 people who I've fully freed, who will come here and tell you that because of their work with me, right, because of going through my coaching, through my courses, to my execution events, to being in my mastermind, et cetera, that they are now living a completely different life that is more in alignment with their purpose, and they are being paid for their purpose. Because originally when I started out, my work was just about helping people get clear on what their life purpose was. And I was great at that. And we would have these great breakthrough sessions. The program is called Driving School for Life. And we would use the vehicle as the metaphor that your life is your vehicle to design, drive, and maintain. But then what would happen is people would end up not being able to change because they couldn't find a business model that would allow them to do their purpose on a daily basis. And so that's when I had to bring my business expertise and pair it with this purpose / spiritual work to align the two. Because what I really want to see, my ultimate vision is a world where everybody is getting paid to do their purpose, where everybody is standing in their unique value, knows what their unique value is, know what their worth is, and able to live a life that is in alignment with that purpose. That's the world I envision, and that's what I'm working towards every single day. I believe that we're playing this one big game of human knot. You ever play that game of human knot where you stand in a circle, then you reach across, you grab this person's hand, then you cross over here, you grab this person's hand, and they grab somebody else's hands, etc. And so now you're in this big knot, and you have to find a way to get out of the knot by stepping over people's arms, going under this and that. I believe we're playing this one big game of human knot, and as we get free, we have the opportunity to free other people, and that's very exciting. We all free each other in different ways. Some people free each other in their business. Some people free each other in their relationships. Some people free each other in their health. Some people free each other in their mindset. Some people free each other in their ability to learn a foreign language. Some people free each other to travel. We free each other in these different ways. And so it's really important that you get clear on who you free and how you free them. Who you free and how you free them. All right. So with that, I've been talking a lot. I'm going to go over here and look at some of the questions. I got some questions on Instagram. I hope everyone realizes that you have a gift to break this down into easy, understandable components. I hope everybody realizes it too. What's going on, Anthony? Wise Nutrition. Go check out Anthony at wise2nutrition.com. Wise to NE nutrition.com. How did you get people to get on board with you and your ideas? So that's a great question. So for me, it actually goes back to what Toadster has said is, one, you got to make the idea very simple. If the idea is too complex, then people are going to tune out. So I spend a lot of thought energy in terms of how to simplify an idea into language and into imagery that make it easy to communicate from me to them. And it also makes it easy for them to communicate to other people, right? It's one thing for you to be able to communicate with somebody, but if they can't lead you and actually share that with somebody else, then it's going to be hard for that idea to spread. Okay, so that's the first thing in terms of how to market your movement. The next thing for me is being first. Being first, and by being first, I consider myself the experiment. I consider myself to be the experiment. I go first, and then I come and report back, right? So I lead by example. So there's 3 types of coaches or leaders that you can decide to be. The first one is the veteran. And the veteran is the person who says, look, I've been doing this for 10, 20 years. Here's how it works. Just follow me. Do A, B, C, D, etc., and you'll be where I'm at, right? So that's the veteran. Now, the veteran is cool, and all of their credentials actually speak volumes, right? And this is how they market themselves. Now, then there are other people who are what I call yeast. Yeast. You know, yeast, when you put yeast in dough, it causes the dough to expand. The yeast is not dough itself. The yeast can never be bread itself, but this one little ingredient and just a little bit of it causes this thing to expand. And so some of us are leaders or coaches, which serve as yeast. We have something that we know when added to something that someone has already built and already has will cause that thing to expand. We may not have that thing, right? But we know that we have this ingredient, this skill set that can actually cause that thing to expand, okay? And then the other type of leader is the learning leader. And the learning leader is saying, look, y'all, I don't have this figured out, but I'm willing to experiment. I'm willing to try, and then I'll give you back the results, whether they're good or bad, right? And there are people who will follow you as a result of that. So some people are looking for veterans. Some people are looking for just that yeast, that person who can come in and help them solve this one specific thing. And then there are learning leaders, somebody I can relate to and somebody I can follow. So you got to determine what kind of leader you actually are. Are you a veteran? Oftentimes a veteran needs to have followers, people who are below them. Yeast, somebody who's a yeast can actually work with people who are further along or have bigger businesses or ideas in them, right? Or bigger movements, because they say, look, let me plug in social media marketing to your business or your idea, and I guarantee it'll expand. Let me plug in funnel development into a funnel into your business and watch it flourish. Let me plug in this automation into your business. This big entity didn't know how to do that thing, but once this ingredient was plugged in, it caused it to expand. And then are you a learning leader? And the learning leader attracts other people who are just want to learn and want to relate and don't want to be looking up to somebody, some guru who's on some mountain somewhere who feels distant. Like there's a lot of people out here like talking about how they've made billions of dollars or millions of dollars. And for some people, that's like, man, that's cool, and I'm glad you did it, but I can't relate to that. That's too far off from me. I need somebody who's further down the mountain and closer to me that I can relate to. So you need to determine what kind of leader you actually are. So simplifying things in language and imagery, and then identifying what kind of leader you are, and what kind of leader you are will determine who you actually attract. And then just at the end of the day, rule number 3 is just consistency. You got to constantly show up. You can't just start something. Like I said, you got to be dedicated to it for 10 years. Try it for 10 years. Not just, oh, I'm going to try it to see if, because that's like day trading. Some people day trade with their purpose, right? They try it, they put their toe in, and if it doesn't work, then they're out and you won't see them for another year, right? You got to be consistent. And when you consistently show up for people, they'll be like, oh, he's still at it, and he's getting better and he's getting stronger, and it's getting more, message is getting more refined, and it's resonating with me more now than it did before, and he's creating results or she's creating results. Like that's how I've been able to build what I've been able to build. And people know that I'm not going back, that I'm fearless, and this is my calling. When people know that you're walking in your calling, they get energized by that because they want to be walking in their calling too. So that's how I think about it, and I hope that blesses you. So Toadster Pass says, seems easier to find a specific audience than to make them change. Changing another person is very difficult. And oftentimes when we have an idea or a product or a service from a business standpoint, we try to give it to anyone, right? We start out by emailing our friends. Your friends may not be your customers. So one of the biggest challenges is going back to who you free and how you free them. You connecting with your ideal client or your perfect prospect. That is part of the name of the game, is connecting with that right person. There are so many people out there in this world. And to the extent that you can actually identify who your tribe is and actually understand them better than they even understand themselves, the more possibilities are going to come into your world. So, for example, let's just say you have an avatar, and I have a course for this. It's called Avatar Analyzer, and what it really forces you to do is really understand what are the dreams of your avatar, your ideal client or perfect prospect, right? What are their disappointments? What do they struggle with, or what are they struggling with right now in the moment? And then what are their deterrents? What are the things that are in the way of them getting to their dream, right? So those are the three categories that I look at when I'm trying to understand who it is that I'm seeking to serve. And there's a quote that says, when you understand and can articulate to your perfect prospect their problems better than they can, they will assume that you have the solution. When you can articulate their problems better than they can even articulate them, they will assume that you have the solution. And so you really have to understand what these people are dealing with, what questions are on their mind when they go to sleep and when they wake up, what's stressing them out, where their stress is it in their neck, is it in their shoulders, and what are those things that stress them? Because you want to solve a problem. You want to solve a problem for them. Every big business is based on solving problems for other people. And so you got to get clear on what they're struggling with and where they want to go, and be one of the solutions that helps them get there faster, safer, and easier. Okay. So yes, finding your audience is a key part of this equation. And with social media marketing, they've made it a lot easier to do that. Before, you can never be as targeted as you are in terms of your advertising or your outreach as you can with social media, with Facebook ads, Instagram ads, etc. Because there's so much rich data that people have poured into their profiles and through their behavior that you can target people who like red Converse, who live in Atlanta, Georgia, between the ages of this and this, and are single parents with a college degree, and also like Pez dispensers. I don't know. You can target that specifically nowadays, right? And that's a very powerful thing. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. So for those of you in 40 Days of Freedom, what's going on? What's going on? How's it going? How's week one been? This is a habit that we're trying to form. Some people was like, Julian, why don't you just give us all the modules at once? Because I want you to get in the habit of thinking about your freedom every single day. I woke up this morning with my mind set on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind set on freedom. We're trying to create a habit. We want freedom to be part of your everyday thinking. If you were thinking about freedom from first grade, you would already be free. If you were thinking about freedom from first grade, you'd already be free. But what tends to happen is that we only think about freedom when something really oppressive happens to us. We only think about freedom when something really oppressive happens to us, right? We lose our job, then we start thinking about freedom. Employer mistreats us, and we start thinking about freedom. We recognize that we're in debt, or we lose a relative, and we realize that they didn't leave any money to pay for a funeral, and all of it's falling on you, or an unexpected occurrence happens, and you start thinking about freedom. I don't want you to just think about freedom in the emergency situation. I want freedom to be part of your habitual thinking every single day. And so that's why it's structured in this way. For those of you who don't know, the way the program 40 Days of Freedom is actually working is that each module expires after 7 days. So you have to keep moving forward. The burning bridge methodology is something that I'm trying out. And the reason I'm trying it out is because only 6.8% of people complete online courses when left up to their own devices. I know you all want freedom, but what happens is that one of the key pieces of trickery in terms of why so many people aren't free is because life tries to keep you busy, so busy that you can't even take time to think about your freedom. Life is keeping you so busy that you can't even think about freedom, right? Busyness is bondage, y'all. Busyness is bondage because you have no breathing room. You're overcommitted to too many things that aren't actually serving you. It's one thing to be committed to things that are serving you, but you're overcommitted to things that aren't even serving you. You're building assets for other people. You go find $1 million idea for your employer and you get no extra additional bread broken off because you found that idea. Zero. Might give a little bonus or a pat on the back for making them $1 million more. You're building assets for other people. The key to freedom, and this is why this is the framework for the equation, is assets. You either build or buy assets. You either build or buy assets, okay? It's that simple, right? You build or buy assets, or both, okay? So Tina says, I have a person in the workshop that is planning, I have an in-person workshop that I was planning for 8/21. One person is registered so far, but was considering canceling the workshop and pushing it back. I'm considering doing more Facebook or YouTube videos to build visibility of thoughts. So Tina, it depends on what the workshop is and what the price point is. It's all a numbers game. But 8/21 is right around the corner. I'm planning my daughter's birthday on 8/19, so I know what it's like to organize like that. So if I had low attendance for a workshop right now, pushing it back, I'm not sure what pushing it back is going to do for you. So even if you do all these Facebook or YouTube videos, you may be connecting with people all over the United States, right? And so they can't come to your workshop, and then they're not going to be able to buy a plane ticket to come in the next 10 days, right? So if I was you, I would actually engage in Facebook advertising, which is targeted to a 20-mile radius of the city that you're actually in. Now, in order for that to work, because most times people don't buy from you straight off of one interaction, in order for that to work, and this is going to sound crazy, rather than praying for organic reach to connect you with the people that actually need to hear your message, you can actually pay for some of your best free content to reach the people that you're seeking to serve. So, for example, whatever your workshop is, I don't know what the workshop is about, but let's say it's a vision boarding workshop, and let's say you do a powerful video on the power of visioning, and then you target who you think your avatar is via Facebook ads. And you're saying, I want to find Black women who are 30 to 45 in this city with a college degree or without a college degree, it doesn't matter. And I want you to show this video to as many of them as you possibly can. When you're doing that kind of push, that push is literally going to, you might only have to pay like $10 per click. And so once these people click to your website needs to have a Facebook pixel on it. What the Facebook pixel is basically, it's kind of like, what do they call the person at the front of the restaurant? Where you check in. So basically that Facebook pixel is saying this woman connected, who came to this page. This other woman came to this page. It won't tell you the name, but you'll start to know that people are clicking to this page. And then now what that signals, because they click, they actually have to take action. It signals a behavior that they're interested in what you have to offer. Then after that, you can actually send another Facebook video that actually invites them to the workshop. See, the days of organic reach are gone. Facebook has stepped fully into its business model. It's starting to even do video ads in videos like YouTube. It's stepped fully into its business model. So the days of organic reach are actually gone. And organic reach is great. I mean, you can get something that goes viral. That's absolutely awesome. But the thing is about organic reach or virality, you can't always control it. So if you actually want to create a sustainable business, it has to be predictable. And I know it sounds crazy to be putting money out in front, but if the numbers work in terms of the pricing of your workshop, how much it actually costs you to deliver the workshop, then it works. So I'll give you an example. For my college speaking business, I'll give you this example because it's straightforward. So my college speaking, I charge over $8,000 for speaking at a college, right? So there's this one conference that I go to, right, where all the college vendors come to. And it cost me about $8,000 to go to that conference. When you do the registration, the flight, my team member, their time, the marketing materials that we send, etc., it cost me about $8,000 to go to that conference. It's a multi-day conference, hotels, etc., right? Now, if I go to that conference and I spend $8,000, that's $8,000 just out front, okay? But I know that because of year after year after year, I've gotten over 6 figures of business from that conference. So I go to that conference, I spend $8,000 to get there. The moment I get one speaking deal from that conference, what happens? I'm at break even, right? I'm at break even. And then anything after that is all icing on the cake. Anything after that is all icing on the cake. So this is how I navigate and how I make decisions about marketing. It was a mindset shift for me to actually be paying to attract people as opposed to just praying, right? Paying rather than praying that these social networks got my message out to the right people. And so it's a mindset shift. It's a financial shift. There are some risk involved. Let's say the marketing funnel does not work. You could be out. This is part of the nature of the game, and this is part of the nature of business. At the end of the day, this is still the cheapest way, even though prices are going up. This is still the cheapest way to find your tribe. Social media is still the cheapest way to find your tribe. Okay. So I hope that blesses you, and I hope that workshop it gets filled up. But you always want to know, this is for everybody. You always want to know the profitability of anything that you're selling. Whether you're selling a book at $20 and it's costing you $10 to print it and ship it, you have a 50% margin because you're making $10 on every $20 book you sell. If you're putting on an event, excuse me, and the workshop is for 10 people, the venue costs you $500. You have food, etc., and so your cost goes up to $1,000, right? That's $100 per person, but you're charging $300. Then you're making $200 per person, and that's a 66% margin. So everything that you sell, you actually want to run the numbers. Now, for Tina, that's $200 on every ticket she sells, right? Profit, because profit is what matters at the end of the day. If you charge $300, but your costs are $300, your revenues look great. Your revenues look like you made $3,000, but that's not the truth. Right? You actually made nothing if it cost that. Now, so if Tina sees that I'm charging $300 for this event, it's going to cost me $100 per person to execute the event. Now she can say, you know what? I'm going to actually allocate some more money to marketing so I can make sure that the event gets full. And I'm going to put together a budget of an additional $500. So now it's going to cost her, if you divide that $500 by 10 people, that's an additional $50 in cost per person. But if she does a $500 marketing budget, now she's almost, now her chances of filling up the event are going to increase. So this is all numbers game and math, and it's a skill set. Digital marketing is a skill set, and it's a valuable one. And if you need help, just reach out. My team and I, we do have some done-for-you services. And next time you do an event like this, Tina, we have some done-for-you services. We have some funnels that I've used that have worked for filling up my events, etc. And we'd be happy to give those to you and customize those for you. But of course, that's a service, right? It's a problem that we solve. Okay. So good stuff. Now, Tony, what's going on, Tony? It's good to see you, brother. If any experience with physical products, wondering what type of copyright I have to get if selling a beauty product, if any. Tony, sorry. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but if you're selling beauty products, it actually doesn't matter. Because there are men who sell beauty products, right? Shea Moisture. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. But let me know, because my mom's name is Tony. So Toni. So copyrights. I don't know. So I'm always going to be honest with y'all when I don't know something. I think I don't know the most powerful 3 words in the English language. You need to talk to a lawyer. I do know that you probably need to get trademarks more than copyrights. You need trademarks on your brand, and you probably need patents on your formula. Okay? You probably need trademarks on your brand and patent on your formula. I'm not sure if you actually need copyrights. So that's what you definitely want to talk to a lawyer for. You do not want to ask me that question. But even if you ask me that question, get you to talk to a lawyer, then we're out here winning. Okay. If you are a lawyer or you know a lawyer, please type their name into chat. Anybody who deals with copyrights or patents, please type their name in so that Tony can reach out. Okay, Tony says I'm a man partnering with my lady cousin though, for sure. So I think it's a great idea to have a woman on board for and actually as a partner, not just on board, but as a partner for a beauty business. Okay. So how's 40 Days of Freedom going? What kind of questions do you have regarding 40 Days of Freedom? How has that been? Breakthroughs, insights. I want to hear it all. This is only week 1, y'all. This is only week 1. All right, I'm seeing if there's any more questions on IG. Okay, cool. So I hear powerful and worthwhile. Worthwhile. I'm not sure. That was it. Born to Shine says, enjoying it, thought provoking. Yes. Beautiful. That's 40daysofreedom.com. For those of y'all who are just jumping in on Instagram, I'll type in the URL and pin it for you. But you better get in because we are closing it down as of Sunday. Because guess what? The first few modules start to expire on Sunday. And by expire, I mean, what I mean by that is that on day 8, module 1 will no longer be available. On day 9, module 2 will no longer be available. Each module is only live for 7 days. This means that you have to keep pace because this is a burning bridge methodology. So again, module on day 10, module 3 will expire. Okay, so you got to keep pace. If you know you're behind right now, you better create time to catch up. And this weekend, I have a few heavier modules for you. I have a few heavier modules the weekend. Many of you won't be working for your traditional employer. So there's a few heavier modules. You got to catch up. You got to catch up. Do not get behind, right? Harriet Tubman held people up at gunpoint to make sure that they kept pace and didn't turn back. And this is the best way I could figure out how to make sure that you kept pace. Now, if you are getting behind and you just don't believe that you can ever catch up or this pace is too fast for you, you can buy lifetime access to the entire curriculum for $99 right now. After Sunday, it will go up to $199. 2 weeks after that, it will go up to $299. And in the last week, it will go up to $399. And then based on the results of everyone who actually makes it to their Mason-Dixon line, makes it to the end of the program, I will base the ongoing price based on the depth and the quality of their results through the program. So it could be $499, $699, $999. That's how this is structured. So if you know that you are behind and you don't believe that you will be able to catch up, but you know that you need to go through this experience, then you want to go grab the lifetime access. Again, this was an experiment. This is why it started off as free. I was tired of people selling information, thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's okay. I'm not knocking them, but like these $3,000 online courses, but the person who created the course not even caring if you actually completed the course. That's not how I move. I can't sleep like that. I can make a lot of money like that. Can't sleep like that. I am committed to your transformation, and so that's why I structured this experience in this way, okay? Miguel said, week 1 is very eye-opening, retrospecting and having the interview very helpful. Beautiful. Oh yeah, with that $99 special, that was my Create Your Own Independence Day special that I brought back for, because it was so popular in July. Create Your Own Independence Day. My Independence Day is not July 4th. It is January 9th. That's when I officially left the corporate plantation. So I want you to create your own Independence Day. So with that $99 package, you get any one of my hats. I got 5 different hats that you can get. You get to choose between the We Out hat, the Freedom State of Mind hat, No Salary Cap, Gold Mine, and then the Freedom School hat. So you get to pick any one of those. Then you also get to pick any one of my books right here. Y'all can see that. Any one of my books, you get to pick one of those. We'll mail those to you. You get lifetime access to 40 Days of Freedom. And you also get lifetime access to the Entrepreneur Year course, and you'll get a mail copy of this to grow your business. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, you need to have the entrepreneurial mindset. We're living in the entrepreneur reality. The entrepreneur reality, and the reality is that we're all already entrepreneurs. An employee is simply an entrepreneur with one big client, okay? So you'll get this. This is the time management tool we use at 9:30 a.m. every Monday. And you also get the course that shows you how to use the worksheets in front that essentially lay out your business plan for the entire next 365 days. So that's all for $99, y'all, until Sunday. Until Sunday. Then we out, as Harriet Tubman said, okay? Karen said, get the access. It's worth it. Yes, yes, yes. Coach Rag says, I've encouraged so many of my family and friends to join 40 Days of Freedom. It's an amazing experience. Thank you, brother. Yes, you do not want to go on this experience alone. You're gonna have a better experience, and I think people who go through this together are gonna have greater results than people who go alone. In addition, I actually put what I call safe house discussion questions at the bottom of each module. So let's say your best friend is in California, like mine is, and I'm in New York. We can do the modules on our own, and then we can call each other during lunch breaks or after in the evening, et cetera, and we can connect and talk about, use those safe house discussion questions to discuss what's going on, right? Conversation actually solidifies and makes the learning more concrete. So grab somebody and grab them quick, because as of Sunday night at midnight, there the 40daysofreedom.com will be a waitlist page. It will be waitlist. Karen says she got the Freedom State of Mind. Born to Shine says she got the gold mine hat. Yes, yes, yes. So did Coach Rags. He got the gold mine hat. I can't wait to see him on, y'all. All right, cool. If you just want a hat, it's nosalarycaps.com, plural. Nosalarycaps.com, plural. But I'm not here to sell anything, y'all. I'm here to serve. So let's get back into it. I'm waiting for questions. That's all I need from y'all. Already it's 12:42. Just waiting for questions. Any questions? Miguel said he got it. See, these are my committed people right here. Not only are they investing in themselves, they're also here on noon on Friday. They're here 9:30 a.m. on Mondays. Like, y'all are committed, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, a lot of people signed up for this experience, and a lot of people haven't even shown up. A lot of people haven't even shown up. They signed up but didn't show up. Like, they were just supposed to give me their email address, and that was going to help them get free without taking any action, without changing. You cannot take slave mentality into the land of freedom. You can't. You can't. And so there's just, I guess people just have this illusion that, oh yeah, I'm just going to type in my email address to 40daysofreedom.com and that will free me. No, you have to show up and you have to take action. I don't know where action got taken out of the equation. I think it was the law of attraction. Now, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in the law of attraction 100%. But I think people misunderstood it, right? I think people misunderstood it. It says faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. And so, yes, you can have faith and believe that this thing is coming to you. But if you don't take any action, then it's not going to just magically reveal itself, right? You have to be in alignment with the trajectory, the thought process of what it is that you actually want. And actually I do believe that it takes more mental action to transform. As it says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I do believe that it takes more mental action and transformation than it does actual physical change. But yeah, I just don't know what people are thinking, and they're so caught up that here we have this free experience that is helping them get free. And honestly, can somebody tell me where else would you go, or where else did you go to work on getting free? Like, I couldn't find any sources besides financial freedom, and it's not just about financial freedom, because you know, how many people have read Rich Dad Poor Dad but aren't rich? How many people have read Rich Dad Poor Dad but aren't rich, right? It's not just about financial freedom, right? It's mental freedom and time freedom as well. And so where did you go? Or just tell me, what are the other best resources out there about how to get free? Where are the other best resources out there about how to get free? Because I will put them in 40 Days of Freedom. I will put them on the website because I want to use them all. Okay, great question. Coach Rag says, should I be afraid of the debt that comes with starting a business? Who told you that it requires debt to start a business? Who told you that? The best businesses actually profit from day one, right? Based on that profitability equation I gave you earlier on, you want to make sure that whatever you're selling is profitable. Now, granted, there are some startup costs, right? But the startup costs today are lower than ever. So I'll give you a straight up example. My little daughter, she's 4 years old. She started a lemonade stand. She started a lemonade stand. And I think I got the numbers here. Got the numbers right here. So in order to start that lemonade stand, we got to go get a card table, a 34-inch card table. There's a tablecloth for it that kind of has a lemonade type feel. She already has this apron that she's going to wear. She has we had to get a lemon squeezer. We had to get 2 manual ones and 1 electric one. And then she's going to need her first few bags of lemons and some Dixie cups. There's a startup cost of that. When I added all that up came up to $112, right? So that's $112. Now, when we look at the numbers, because we just made the first batch of her own lemonade last night. We just made the first batch. Where's my phone? Oh, my phone is here. I want to show you the picture. We just made the first batch last night, and it's going to cost her about 63 cents per serving. 63 cents per serving. She's going to sell it for $2. Okay. So she's gonna make $1.37 per serving. So she's gonna have to sell 100 cups of lemonade to get back to break even. About 100 cups of lemonade to get back to recoup that $112, right? 100 cups. That's gonna probably take 1 or 2 Saturdays to do. But then after that, she's recouped her costs, and now all she has is variable costs, which are the lemons and sugar, and water doesn't. I'm paying the water bill. She's not paying the water bill. Okay, so. It's just numbers. I got an Excel spreadsheet and I just did numbers. And so once you figure out what your profit margin is for whatever it is that you're selling, whether it's a coaching service, because your coach rags, right? Whether it's a coaching service, whether it's a product, etc., there will be some startup costs. And then what you want to calculate is how many of these things do I need to sell in order to get back to break even? And then once I'm at break even, then we move to profit from there. But then there will come a time where you need to invest in another machine. Right? That's going to be a capital cost. And then you say, okay, how many are we going to have to sell? How many units is this thing going to have to produce? And how many are we going to have to sell in order to make sure that this thing is paid for? So whoever told you that there's debt that's required for starting a business, it's not. With the exception of online business, excuse me. If you're starting a restaurant where you need to go get a 10-year lease, you need to go redo the entire interior. You need to get all these permits. You need to buy all this expensive equipment. Yeah, you might have to go into debt for that. But I'm not sure if that's the kind of business that you're seeking to start. So I would try to figure out how to do it as low cost at first and then expand. So a lot of people nowadays for a restaurant, and again, I don't know what kind of business you're in. A lot of people are saying instead of going and buying a restaurant or renting out or leasing a space and developing a restaurant that's stuck to a location, I'm going to go get a food truck for $20,000 because that's cheaper, right? So there's ways to start that don't require debt because you do not want to, I never want to create from a place of scarcity or fear. I never want to create from a place of scarcity or fear. And debt oftentimes will require you to create from that place. And you'll start taking on clients that aren't in line with your actual value, and that'll throw you off your trajectory because you're just trying to make these debt payments as opposed to building a legitimate business. Okay. Hope that helps. Oh, barbershop and juice bar. I love it. I love it. Now you got to keep them. You got to have a wall there because I don't want no hair in my juice. Okay. Got to have a wall or something. Don't let the hair get over to the juice bar. Okay. All right, I got a great question. Oh, Karen said, not a question, said a comment. The hustling backwards was very eye-opening. It made me take a good look at myself and my beliefs. Good, good, good. So real quick, what are some of the ways y'all have been hustling backwards? What are some of the ways y'all have been hustling backwards? And just keep it 100. Just keep it 100. What's some of the ways y'all were hustling backwards? And you knew you were hustling backwards, but you didn't want to acknowledge it. What are some of the ways y'all were hustling backwards? Okay. While y'all doing that, Renee asked, does New Orleans have better freedom choices, better business opportunities? Was there a particular reason that you chose that city, New Orleans, besides that you chose New Orleans besides personal? Oh, got you. I get the question now. So my wife and I, we just love New Orleans. New York was good for a point in time in our life, a space. in our life when you're single, when you're dating, etc. New York is great for that, and I encourage everybody to live in a big city for some period of time just to get that experience. But as now that we have a family and we are maturing, we want a different pace of life. And so we fell in love with New Orleans. We took a trip there and we loved it so much that we took another one and we took another one and we took another one. And then the real estate opportunity presented itself there because we were so interested and told one of my friends who was a realtor there that we were interested in buying. And it kind of, New Orleans kind of sucked us in. And so what we love about it is the food, the culture, the affordability from a housing standpoint. Even though we own here, I could sell this and probably get five five houses in New Orleans, right? But we're never selling this. So food, the culture, the weather. I'm tired of winter. I'm not doing winter anymore. I'm out. I'm cool. And then the people. They're beautiful people here, but they're beautiful and busy people here. They're beautiful and busy people here. New Orleans has a little bit of a different pace and a different feel. And despite the fact that it is in Louisiana, New Orleans is kind of like this special space in Louisiana where I feel like there's a lot of diversity there. And I also see New Orleans as being Brooklyn about 8 to 10 years ago. And so I see a lot of possibility and opportunity that will emerge there. But from a business standpoint, freedom choices, we have a 25 by 25 backyard here. At our home there, we'll have a bigger backyard. My daughter will be able to have more freedom to roam. Like I said, 3 months of the year will be back to ours. I mean, I'm not saying that I was hibernating all winter, that I didn't go outside, but I don't want to experience that. And of course, is there hurricane season there? Yes, there'll be tough rains and things of that nature. I'm open to that. People say, oh, what about Katrina, this and that? What if it gets flooded? That may happen 100 years from now when New Orleans is underwater. And when New Orleans is underwater, so will Wall Street. Wall Street will be underwater. So this is just the nature of living. This is just the nature of living, and they may come and may not. I know that the levees have been fixed to prevent something like that from happening again to that magnitude. So it's just part of the game. Every place in the country has its own thing, tornadoes, earthquakes in California. So you just pick and choose, right? But in terms of business standpoint, nothing specifically in connection with business. Now, I do, the way our home is structured, we have an attic that we have a livable attic that we can have guests over. And I do anticipate inviting entrepreneurs to come and work with me there on a frequent basis and doing more VIP days where I work with them and install assets into their business and do visioning with them. So I definitely expect that. And it's also a place that people love, and it's also in between both coasts, right? So it's 3 hours from West Coast, 3 hours from East Coast. So I always wanted to be bi-coastal, but now I'm tri-coastal. Got a home in New York, got a home in the Gulf Coast, East Coast, and one on the West Coast. So those are my reasons for choosing New Orleans. And we'll see how it goes. You can't know until you're actually there. But at this moment in time, based on many visits and things of that nature, we've fallen in love with it. Great, great, great. Boom, boom. All right. Born to Shine, she loves New Orleans. See, if I do an event in New Orleans, y'all all coming, right? We're going to chill out. Okay, so going back to my question, some of the ways y'all are hustling backwards, reaping more than I've sown. Yep, that's what debt is, trying to reap faster than you've actually sown. Avoiding time management, living lavish instead of investing, living in the moment, saving and not investing. Yeah, so Coach Rack says savings. He's taking the course. I know he's taking the course because some people think that savings is the way to freedom. You can't save your way to wealth. If money is sitting in your bank account right now earning 0.03% interest, then it's going to take you about, using the law of 72, the rule of 72. I'm going to run that math for you right now. I believe it's 2000. So rule of 72 says you take 72 and you divide it by the interest rate as a whole number. So if you have a 10% interest rate, it's going to take you 7.2 years to actually double that money. So I'm about to run the numbers for all y'all right now on an interest rate of 0.03%, because that's what most of your banks have, 0.03%. So 72, you want to know, any guesses how long it's going to take you to double your money at 0.03, a savings rate of 0.03%, while the bank is actually trying to loan you money at 5%? Any ideas? How long will it take you to double your money at 0.03%? Anybody know? 2,400 years. 2,400 years to double your money. You cannot save your way to wealth, y'all. You cannot save your way to wealth. It's just basic math. You got to find ways to get that money to return at higher rates. And of course, in all these books and things like that nature, they talk about compound interest. Compound interest is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Einstein said it, but not at 0.03%. Not at 0.03%. All these books tell you, oh yeah, just find an investment that's going to yield 10% a year and you'll be a millionaire. Yeah, if you find that investment, that's the hard part, is finding the investment. Almost all my properties have a cash flow that yield greater than 10% of what I invested each year, okay? This is why the duplex and the real estate game or multifamily game has worked, right? Because over time, that money is just going to multiply. The mortgage will be paid off. And the reason I went so hard at the age of 35 is because I knew that at the age of 65, all of these homes will be paid off. I'm a cash flow guy. I like cash flow more than chunks. And so because cash flow is going to exist forever, right? Cash flow will go on. If you get a chunk, if you win the lotto, and let me just put this out to the universe, I'm open to receiving chunks. I'm open to receiving chunks. Give them to me, right? But if I get a chunk, I'm actually going to invest it in something that actually produces cash flow, right? Because financial freedom is the moment where your passive income from your investments, where your money is working for you, surpasses your living expenses, okay? That's where it's at. And so that's why I became financially free last year, because I acquired those 3 duplexes, and the cash flow from them that is consistent and monthly, it actually surpassed my living expenses. Now, here's a key thing that actually allowed me to reduce my living expenses, is that once I got a multifamily home, this one here, which is a 3-family, which pays for itself and some off of 2 units, I was able to take my living expense, right? Housing, which is oftentimes 1/3 to 40% of people's monthly expenses, off the table. So my real living expenses to have the life that I love and enjoy are only about $2,000 per month. Now, that's my personal contribution. My wife and I also have to put in about $1,500 to $2,000 into our expenses that we share together. But in addition to that, my personal expenses outside of my marriage, only about $2,000 a month. That's my cost of living. So if I have passive income, literally a duplex or a triplex could produce that every single month. One. So for those of you who've been living in quote unquote poverty, I believe in freedom from the bottom up. Because those of you who've actually been living off less and still able to find joy, peace, happiness, still able to love, still be able to give, even though you've been living at less, you actually have an easier time of achieving financial freedom than someone who needs $100,000 a year to actually feel happy, feel peace, feel joy, to still love, and to still give. How crazy is that? So if you get really smart about how if you keep your cost of living low, like you don't start balling out and start buying expenses and liabilities, and you keep your cost of living low not forever, just for as long as you need to, until you've actually bought or built an asset that actually covers your cost of living, you could be financially free. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Okay. So one more, Roth said, hustling backwards, increasing cost of living based on income. That is the trick of all tricks. You're getting from a job you dislike when the income of the career path you desire may be less. That hit on the nose. That's facts, yo. That's facts. But you all know this, and I got to repeat it. I got to repeat it over and over and over again, right? The reason we memorize these songs is because they get repeated over and over and over again. Your income, what your employer calls income, is not income. It's not income, it's revenues. Then you have your living expenses, right? You have your living expenses. Instagram is about to cut off, y'all. Instagram is about to cut off. Let me share. Let me go back live on Instagram. I didn't know we was going this long, y'all. Let's see. I'm gonna let y'all go in just a second. Remember, what they call income is actually not your income. That is revenues. You have your revenues that you get from your job after they've taken out your health care and taxes. And you letting them take your taxes and they're investing your taxes instead of you, right? And they're getting interest off of it. Then you get whatever you have left. And sometimes your check just looks like it was just cut up in all kinds of ways. Then you have your living expenses. So you have your revenues, then you have your living expenses. Your income is what's left over after you paid all your living expenses. Your income is what's left over at the end of the month, right? But most people have more month left over at the end of the money. You want it the other way around. So if you get a pay bump, right, at your job and you're like, oh, I'm making more money. That doesn't necessarily mean you're making more money if you increase your cost of living in direct proportion to what you just got bumped at. And so that's one of the greatest traps of all. And there also is an assumption that you doing what you love is actually going to lead to you earning less. There's an assumption that you doing what you love is going to lead to you earning less. I don't earn less. I'm doing what I love and I don't earn less. Maybe initially, I'll be honest with you, initially I did earn less. When I stepped into this way of being and living, I did earn less momentarily. But remember what I say, if you're committed to it for 10 years, you will find a way. And that way will also find you. You will find a way and that way will find you. So yes, I did have to take a pay cut, essentially. I had to take a pay cut. Actually, I didn't have to. Not everybody who steps into doing what they love actually takes a pay cut. I ended up having to take a pay cut, okay? So don't let that assumption that doing what you love is actually going to be yield less. Because when you look at all the people who inspire you on the internet, et cetera, or whatnot, they're doing what they love. Most of them are doing what they love, and they're making more than they would have ever made in a job. And again, remember, it's not about growing your hourly, it's about growing your equity. Beyonce said, pay me in equity. It's not about growing your hourly, it's about growing your equity. So let's go back to vitamin water. And we're going to talk about this in the assets part of 40 Days of Freedom. Vitamin water. 50 Cent could have actually taken a paycheck to be in a vitamin water commercial, but instead he asked for equity. I don't want a paycheck. I don't want some chump change. I want equity. And so he took equity, and then what, a vitamin water sold for $2 billion to Coke, right? So he's taking home $200 million instead of a $200,000 paycheck for a commercial. So this is equity, is when you're acquiring assets, all right? Yes, Born to Shine. Beyonce said, watch me reverse out of debt. Watch me. I don't even do so debt, real quick. Nothing wrong with debt. But you got to know what good debt is versus bad debt. Student loans is bad debt. Do not let anybody fool you. Oh yeah, it doesn't reflect bad on your credit score. It just is what it is, and you just pay it off over the course of your life. BS. Student loans is bad debt. Good debt is taking out or borrowing money to invest in something that's actually going to yield more money than it costs you to pay that money back. So good debt is taking out a $200,000 mortgage to buy a house at $250,000, a multifamily, because multifamily is going to usually charge you 20% down payment. So you're going to have to come up with that. But you take out a $200,000 mortgage. Now that mortgage is costing you $1,000 a month, but the rent you get from this duplex you bought actually bring in $2,000 a month. So that's good debt, because you have to pay back $1,000 a month, but you're getting $2,000. So you're making $1,000 in additional cash flow every single month. That's good debt. Student loans is not good debt. Okay. So this is some of the lies and some of the trickery that's out there that people just don't tell you. Okay. So checking on Facebook. Any last questions? Any questions about 40 Days of Freedom? Anywhere you're feeling stuck? Any ways I can help? Born to Shine said, I know people who use their student loan money to buy property. What's your thoughts? I think that's gangster. Since they won't let you borrow money in any other way, since they won't let you, wait, as long as that property is a multifamily home, as long as it's a multifamily home. I don't believe in single family homes until you have enough multifamily homes actually paying for the mortgage of the single family home. So as long as it was a multifamily home that they bought, right? So student loans, they'll give you money for student loans, $200,000 for student loans, but they won't give you that same amount of money to acquire a multifamily home or to start your business, right? So if you are a student in grad school or undergrad, I would actually maximize my loan. I go to a financial aid office and say, I need more. And I forgot what you had to do to approve, get them to approve that you needed more. But you're not going to take out more money to buy liabilities or expenses. You will take it out to actually go acquire assets. So let's say your financial aid package was $45,000 and you were eligible for 70. I go in there and be like, look, I'd like to max this thing out. Now I have $25,000 that I can use to invest, because they weren't going to give it to me because my business didn't have a credit line. And it's hard to go get a business loan at a bank. And they wouldn't give it to me. They wouldn't let me borrow that money that easily. I mean, literally, you walk in the financial aid office, you sign a few documents and they're wiring you money because they think it's for school. If I could do that joint over again, I would have maxed out my student loans at UCLA. I actually might have went back for a fourth year. Remember, I didn't go to UCLA for 4 years. I graduated in 3 years. I might have gone back for a fourth year, taken the bare minimum classes since I already meet all my requirements, and just maxed out that loan and actually bought property in Inglewood, California at that time. If I knew the game now. But you got to really be focused. You got to really be focused and know what you're doing. It's not something to play around with. Oh yeah, I got this big lump of change. I'm going to spend it on some property, but I'm about to go get this first. No, none of it goes towards liabilities and expenses, only asset acquisition. This is how you hustle, y'all. Hustle forward. All right. So with that, we're going to sign off. I know I'm past the 1 o'clock mark. I wanted to make a Q&A for 40 Days of Freedom, and y'all just got me going. Y'all know when I get going, I get going. So I appreciate y'all. Okay, so couple announcements. So 40 Days of Freedom, make sure you sign up if you're just catching this on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. 40daysofreedom.com. That closes on Sunday night. We have our call on Sunday night at 8 p.m. This is our week 2 overview and preparation call. Week 2 is about saying yes. We've already talked about where you are. We've done the assessment. That was week 1. Then we're going to go to what are all the things you want to say yes to in your life. Okay. What is Shonda Rhimes, or is our book Year of Yes or something like that? We're going to go over all the things you want to say yes. We're going to paint the vision of the life that you actually want, what freedom actually looks like for you. Many people have never defined it. We're going to do that this week. So that's 8 p.m. on Sunday, Eastern. Okay, so put it in your phone, put a reminder. Of course, you'll get text reminders or emails from me as well. Then on Monday, we will be meeting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay, to go over our time management and lay out our vision for the week. We go through these 2 pages every Monday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? So again, go to 40daysoffreedom.com to sign up to make sure you get notifications about all of this. And the $99 special and Create Your Own Independence Day special for 40 Days of Freedom, it expires on Sunday at midnight. After that, it goes up to $199. 2 weeks later, it goes to $299. Last week, it goes to $399. And then after the course is done, after the live experience and experiment is done, it will go up to whatever the value you all tell me it was, to those of you who actually get to the Mason-Dixon line and finish. Okay? So go take advantage of that. That is at freedomstateofmind.com. freedomstateofmind.com. If you want to take advantage of that special, it's freedomstateofmind.com. What's up, Jay? My boy from Nigeria is here, building businesses and companies out there. We went to business school together. It's good to see you, man. Good to see you. Cool. So for those of you who are new to this, 40daysoffreedom.com. For those of you who are already in, go to Freedom State of Mind. Take advantage of that. Create Your Own Freedom Independence Day special, freedomstateofmind.com. And I will see you all on Sundays at 8 p.m. I hope that you have an amazing, magical weekend. Go spend time with people that you love. Start planning for that weekend right now. Send some text messages. Hey, you want to go to brunch? Hey, you want to do something Sunday afternoon? You want to do something on Saturday afternoon? Hey, you want to come watch this webinar with me on Sunday at 8 p.m., right? Send those text messages out right now, okay? And I will see you on Sunday. Much love, everybody. Peace.